Welcome, guys. Debut podcast. Now we're working. There's the mic. All right, guys. We're going to talk Celtics basketball on this podcast. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. My name's Colin. I am Unicorn Season on Twitter. Scandalous Unicorn Season. Finally, face reveal. I want to use this platform to get more pragmatic and practical and reasonable and rational about the basketball taste because, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, can be a bit of a sensationalist platform. I'm guilty of that as well, just to drive interaction, foster discussion. It really owes itself to that kind of dialogue, unfortunately, which can be fun too. But this podcast is going to be about educated, or I don't really like that word actually, more just kind of people that know ball and want to discuss Boston Celtics, NBA basketball, people that are passionate about the NBA, not just the Celtics, but all the teams. I love player evaluation. I love coach evaluation, which we'll get into today. And other aspects of the game too. I like the college game and the high school game as well, but this is mostly going to be an NBA podcast, at least to start. That's what I watch currently. I watch NBA basketball. I've for many years haven't regularly watched college basketball. I'm trying to get back into it. But we have some Celtics stuff to discuss. We're going to talk about Neemias Queta. We're going to talk about Malcolm Brogdon briefly, his comments that he didn't feel valued here, and we are going to discuss a long-tenured problem in the Tatum and Brown era of the Boston Celtics playing down to their competition time and time again. And the most recent example being last night's contest versus an AD-less and LeBron-less Los Angeles Lakers, who came into TD Garden and punked us, sort of. But I'm going to try to get into how it's not a huge deal. I don't know if people saw Porzingis' comments. I didn't watch Mazzulla's presser, but that this is the NBA and bad games happen. But to a larger degree, the Tatum and Brown era being defined by many things, hopefully championships to come. But one of those things is that we have a recurring issue with this core of playing down to the competition, which means a lot of times we're just playing against rosters that we should be easily handling with a 25-point victory, or if they're shooting well, a little bit of a tighter game. And then we end up either losing the game or exerting too much effort to have to defeat this opponent. But I think effort is a huge part of the problem. And I think that the Tatum and Brown problem comes down to the fact that they approach games from an entitled standpoint sometimes. And I think this has to do with some of the way that they were brought up as players in the NBA. Now, I love Tatum and Brown more than any fan of the Celtics. I know that I can be hard on Jalen in Twitter takes, but I also can be very complimentary of Jalen and a huge champion of Jalen. I'm a huge Jaylen Brown fan. I love him as a person. I love him as a player. He drives me crazy sometimes with ball security and some questionable IQ stuff, as I think he does a lot of people. But we can all agree that his positive attributes and really his improvement, just watching him since his rookie season improve has been a joy to watch, and is a testament to his work ethic and his character. He came in as a rookie as an incredible athlete, obviously. He was guarding LeBron James his rookie season and athletically wasn't sacrificing a ton. That's crazy. But he's developed skill-wise in a crazy way. I mean, he was very raw skill-wise coming in. And the fact that he's now like a bona fide scorer, that's just a testament to his work ethic. It's a testament to Brad Stevens developing him. And it's a testament to Udoka and Mazzulla continuing that development. But mostly it's a testament to Jalen because he's put in the work. He's listening to the right people, and he's a lot of times put his ego aside to just do the right thing and become a really selfless basketball player. Give me 1 second. I got to let my cat out. I sort of forgot where we were, but the main discussion is sorry, just getting into a Jaylen tangent. The main discussion is that Tatum and Brown their era is defined by this tendency for singular games or multiple games, string of games, to play down to their competition. I want to talk about how Tatum's career started and how I think psychologically there might be an explanation there for that, and that's that Tatum has been starting his whole career since he was 19 years old, and that's much deserved. He's an incredible talent. He's a top 10 talent in our league, maybe even top 5. Just as Jaylen, he has put in incredible amounts of work. His skills are crazy. He came in obviously way more polished than Jaylen, but he's also improved every single season. He's improved physically, notably in the last couple years. This guy's a fucking beast. He's clearly putting in the work, and he really cares, and he's dedicated to his craft. You can't say the character of Jaylen and Jayson cannot be questioned. That's just simply a fact. And it's not his fault that he might be complacent based on the fact that he has been starting since his rookie season and has basically been given a lot of responsibility since he's walked into a starting role. He deserved it. But there's something to be said about guys that come into the league and really have to sit on the bench for a bit and get a chip on their shoulder for a few years, and it makes them appreciate things more and probably hungrier in the long run. And I think that there's a whiff of that somewhere in the Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum psychology, and that is the only explanation I have for why they get into these sort of entitled mindsets when they're facing weaker competition. I was listening to something Eddie House said. It was that his championship teams didn't ever play down to their competition. He's probably talking about the 2008 era, and that it was all about effort, and they never sacrificed on effort night in, night out. That's not something you can say about the Tatum and Brown era. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know if it will be fixed. I don't know if it matters. We can still win 3 championships in a row while losing 6 or 7 BS regular season games a year. As long as we can be relied upon to bring it effort-wise in the playoffs, which has never been an issue with Tatum or Brown, then we're fine. So all this could be smoke and mirrors, and it doesn't really matter. But as a fan, I know that we all want to see guys giving 1,000% every night. Is that realistic in an 82-game season? Yes and no. For most guys, no, but we've seen people do it. The 90s Bulls, Jordan, guy played fucking hard every night. Iverson, when he was healthy. There's guys that can really bring it effort-wise every night. And so I just like to see Tatum and Brown improve upon that somewhat. And I don't know if it's going to happen, but I think the point of the discussion is that we can no longer talk about coaching or some other weird issue. We have to put the responsibility on Tatum and Brown's shoulders for this problem of playing down to our competition. They are the leaders of this team. I know we have Horford and we have, I guess that sounds like that might be our only vet. Let me think about it. He's clearly the veteran of the locker room, but in terms of a basketball standpoint, our alphas are Tatum and Brown. And Al, by the way, could never be mistaken for a lack of effort. So he's certainly not the issue. So yeah, it's Tatum and Brown, and as I've said so many good things about them already on this pod, but they need to change the culture surrounding these low effort games. I think that's just what it comes down to, and I could be completely wrong about this, and it really doesn't matter. Maybe the new way of being in the NBA is like you just don't give a fuck for 15 games, even if you're a star player, and it doesn't matter because if you're the Boston Celtics, you're going to still end up with 60 wins most likely, and when you win a championship this season, no one's going to talk about losing to Charlotte or losing to the Lakers without LeBron and AD at home in game 56 or whatever it was, game 48. I don't know what number we're at. So yeah, I think I've said enough about that. I want to talk about Neemias Queta a little bit in this podcast, and this does have to do with Mazzulla. I have a feeling that Queta needs to get minutes every single night, quite frankly, from this point on in the season. We need to develop him for multiple reasons. First and foremost, if Horford or Porzingis happen to suffer an injury during the playoffs, and or Cornet, and by the way, none of these three guys are Iron Men. God bless their souls. They're all injury prone. Porzingis, obviously, most of all. There is a reality in which we need to play Neemias Queta in a playoff series. And we need to face that reality now, and we need to get him minutes now. And we need to develop him substantially between now and the end of the regular season. And there's plenty of time. We have like 34 games left. That's an entire college season. That's a lot of time for improvement, especially for a guy that's 24, 25. He can improve a lot in that time span, just as he's improved a lot since the beginning of the season. But it's not going to happen unless he gets game action. You can see this guy improving even in the middle of a game. He just needs the minutes. And I think Joe needs to make that happen. And I understand the willingness to go with Cornet over him and to limit his minutes so far in the season. Cornet understands our principles, and he plays the right way, and he has more experience with our roster. And Cornet's really fucking solid. And he's been awesome this season. And he's improving too. I think it's pretty clear that right now, on this day, Cornet is better than Queta. If we had to play the NBA Finals Game 7 tonight and we had to play one of those two, you go with Cornet. But there's no doubt that Queta's ceiling is higher. Obviously, he's athletically more gifted. And he plays really fucking hard. I think that's a huge point about him, is that he's not just some athletic guy that gets put out there to be tall. And he plays really hard. He plays with hunger. You see him getting really pumped up after the dunk on I think it was a free throw play with Jalen was involved. He just got pumped. He loves TD Garden. But he's undeniably super raw. The play right around that when he caught his own jump ball was like a snapshot into how raw he is. Like, it seems like he just needs to play more basketball. And these guys they're hugely athletically gifted and kind of thrown into NBA situations, it's pretty incredible that they're able to adapt so quickly to high-level basketball. But it also shows or means that they're going to improve rapidly. Look at somebody like Embiid. If you see his like JV or high school footage where he's like shooting and like behind the backboard, like, 10 years later he's like the best player in the world or one of them. These guys that are athletically crazy specimens, if they commit themselves and are in a good program, and the Celtics there's no better program than the Celtics, they can improve like crazy. And I think Queta is in that vein. I'm not comparing him to Embiid, obviously. He'll never be as good as Embiid, but he can be a starting center in this league. I really do believe that Neemias Queta can be a starting center in the NBA. I don't think he can be a top 10 center or anything like that. And his likely landing spot is a really solid backup, if not for us, for somebody else. And I think his floor is obviously third string bench guy or G League is his floor. But his ceiling is starting center in this league. And he's not there yet, but he's only going to get there. He's only going to get there through minutes. And I think his trajectory of improvement is even going to be faster when he's playing on the best team in the NBA, when the stakes are high every night. He's getting, the other team's best shot. He deserves a lot of credit for stepping into high pressure situations this year and not being completely awful. He's going to be an amazing rebounder, and I got a good feeling about Kadah.